Hello, fifth graders. Miss Elliott here. Welcome to Unit 2, Week 4, Lesson 4 of Wonders. Today you will be working on identifying examples of literary techniques used in 3 narrative poems, and then you will be applying these techniques as you write your own narrative poem. Before we go any further, let's just take a look at what is meant by literary techniques in narrative poems. Some of the techniques used would be, of course, rhyme. A poem with rhyme contains words that end with the same vowel sound. Often repetition is used as well. The repetition of words, phrases, or lines is used for emphasis. And then sometimes poems are written in what we call free verse. The poems do not rhyme. And of course, often figurative language is used in our poems to make them more interesting. Some types of figurative language used may be a simile, comparing two unlike things, using like or as. An example of a simile is he is as fast as a cheetah. And then the use of metaphors is very common. A metaphor is a word or phrase used to describe something as if it were something else. An example of a metaphor is he is a shining star. It's not saying he's like or as a shining like or as, it's saying he actually is a star. Okay, and then the use of personification. And personification is giving something human-like qualities. It could be giving human-like qualities to animals if they dress or talk like humans, and then also giving human-like qualities to inanimate objects like a tree or other items. And then, of course, it's important to use sensory details. Sensory details engage the reader's interest and should be incorporated to add more depth to your writing. Sensory details include sight, sound, touch, smell, and taste. And imagery is the sight sense. One of the poems that you'll be reading today is titled Stage Fright. Again, it's a narrative poem. I'm going to go ahead and read parts of this poem, perhaps the whole poem, and then we'll identify some examples of literary techniques used in narrative poetry. All right, I'll go ahead and read. Let me see if I can just get this a little larger. There we go. Okay, Stage Fright. The prince. I wanted the role, the prince, the prince. I got it, knew it. I was totally convinced. All right, let's just take a moment here to talk about and identify some literary techniques. The first one I notice is repetition. When they repeated the prince, the prince, of course, they want to emphasize how important this role is and how important the role is to the person in the poem. And then I did hear some rhyming. Again, it was the ending vowel sound that I heard. Let me reread here. I wanted the role, the prince, the prince. I knew it. I got it, knew it. I was totally convinced. All right, so I hear prince and convinced. Okay. All right, let's continue. I memorized each line. I learned them by heart. I studied and studied my perfect prince part. Again, I did hear a little bit of repetition, studied and studied. It was so important to him. He worked really hard and had to study a lot to become good at his part and learn it. And then I also heard some rhyming again. Let's see, learned them by heart, my perfect prince part. So heart and part. All right, so I will let you go ahead and continue read that poem independently and look for literary techniques used in narrative poetry. And then I will go ahead and introduce you to 2 additional poems that you'll be reading. The second poem that you'll be reading is titled Catching Quiet. And again, you'll be reading this poem and taking notes on literary techniques so that you can apply or use them in your own poem you'll be writing today. And then there's a third poem. Let's just take a look at that poem as well quickly. The third poem you'll be reading today is called Vowel Shot. Again, make sure that you're reading carefully and rereading, identifying literary techniques that are used. Make note of those so you can apply some of those to your own writing. So, what you'll be doing is you will be giving a narrative poem assignment by your teacher. And again, please read the three poems so you can identify and become more familiar with literary techniques used to write poetry. All right, you have a great day. I will see you soon.